Hello and welcome to Take Refuge 3D. Welcome to all of the new subscribers and welcome back my day ones, and in this video, in the last video I did about plasticity, somebody complained that I fast forwarded the part where I made the bike saddle using the new tools. So in this video we're just going to go over very quickly how you can make something like this using the new tools that have been introduced to Plasticity 2025.1, slide and proportional move. They're quite, you'd think they're quite minor additions, but you can get quite detailed results very quickly with them, as you'll see in this tutorial. So don't forget, I'm a Plasticity affiliate, and you can get a 10% discount off any Plasticity license with my code REFUGE10. Also at the moment, my plugins are on sale on the Blender Market during their winter sale to December the 3rd. And I've got a sale on my Gumroad where you can get 30% off anything. So let's get into it. In this video, we're just going to go over some of the new features in Plasticity 2025.1 and how we can use them for modeling a little bit more in depth than before. So somebody in the video that I just did on the Plasticity release said that they wanted to look at the bike saddle that I made in a little bit more depth. Let's have a look at how we can do that using some of these new features. So look, let's delete our cube and let's just start a corner plane, okay? And we can press C, corner rectangle, sorry. We'll press C and S, right? And we can constrain that. So corner rectangle to the origin point, press C to make it a center rectangle. And you can either drag it along this normal, this purple line, or you can actually constrain it to that line by pressing S, and then we're going to get a square. Okay, so let's do that, and then we can actually just scale it out by pressing S. Alright, and we can go press F to get our search command, and we can press patch, which I've got set to Alt F. I think most people have it set to something else. I've got it set to Alt F. And if you want to set something, if you're new and you want to set a command, you right click on it and you can change the shortcut, you can remove the shortcut, or you can add it to your favorites. So now when I press F, you can see that I've got patch up there. Okay, so we've just basically patched a curve into a sheet. I just deleted my curve, deleting things as we go along and keeping it nice and clean. Depending on your project, you may want to keep your curves. For this case, we don't really. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run the raise degree command by pressing Shift S, or you can, there's different ways to find it. You can type in raise degree by pressing the F menu while searching down here for raise degree. Or if you've got the face selected in face mode up here, right, and you click on this, you should see raise degree, and you can see that set to Shift S. And you can also pull this up by pressing Shift F. Okay, these are just suggested commands. But I'm going to press Shift S twice. And what we're going to do, go into top mode by pressing 7 on our numpad. Alright, and I'm going to select these vertices. You can add to your selection by holding down Shift. And I'm just going to scale these out. And we're going to start giving this some shape. Right. I'm going to scale these out. And I'm going to scale these in, just to give this quite a bit of shape. Okay, and then what we can do, this is like not new to Plasticity, but what we're about to do next is, so if we select these three and we press G to move them, we can see that we're moving them up. Okay, now if we change from proportional to all, we can see that we're moving these, okay, up and down. And if we check selected only, you can see it's acknowledging the selected only ones. So the way that this works is that the last selected control vertex, or CV as they're known, is the one that's going to be the one that's the control one. So you can see that's selected to there because I selected that last. If I try that in a different order, so if I go 1, 2, 3 and then press G, right, and then we go to selected, it's going to choose that one as the last one. So in this case, we want to be working with our middle one, and we can go to selected and we can bring this up like that. Okay, we may want to select it to all for a second or just selected. And what you'll notice is now that I'm moving these, there's a fall off between this and this middle one and these, and we can edit that fall off, right, by going to fall off of V, okay, and adding to the fall off like that, okay, and giving it a little bit more curvature, and we can bring that up and we can give this a bit more shape like that. Okay, so, and when we're doing this, right, so if we're on selected, and I'm just gonna, for example, you'll see that these are moving, but the ones that are not part of the selection are pinned in place. Okay, so we'll go and do this at the other end as well. Okay, and we're selecting that middle one last, going into selected, making sure all these other ones are pinned in place, and we can add to this fall off and give it a little bit more shape. So we're now getting like kind of a horse saddle shape. So I want it to be higher at one end than the other, because you want a bit of a backrest. And then what we can do is we can actually either G and grab these and give that a little bit, or we could Shift G and we can now slide these along the vertex. And sliders are new, so that's coming along the normal, as you can see, going in and out. So you can, as you can see, you can build up some pretty cool shapes pretty quickly. So I'm going to select these bottom three, and we'll just, yeah, I think that's quite nice. So now what we want to do, we want to toggle off these points, otherwise the scene gets cluttered. So once again, you can go to your search menu and go toggle. I've got this set to Z, so I'm going to toggle those off. We're going to press 4 on our keyboard, or go up to sheet and solid mode and click on that. We're going to come down here and we're going to duplicate this. Now, I want to go into edge mode, select the edge ring, okay, and then to add to the selection, I'm going to select that edge ring as well. I'm now going to press L for loft to loft together, and we're going to select G0, or you can tab through by pressing tab to select all the different continuities. Now we're left with 3 sheets, right? So a sheet is just a infinitely thin object. We'll go into object mode and we'll hit J once we've got them all selected, and they will become a solid. Okay, so now we're starting to get a shape here. So we really want to get this built up into something a little bit more that looks more like a bike seat. So I'm going to scale this, choose this bottom one. I'm going to scale, press Z and then 0 to scale it to 0 on the Z axis, and then we can just pull this down a little bit. And I'm going to go into front mode, okay, and we want to give this a little bit more shape. So looking here, we can choose this face, we can press R to rotate, and that will rotate it like that. But if we press R and then V, okay, we can select the pivot we want to rotate on, and we can just pivot that across like that. So we're just giving more form, right, and more silhouette to this than we previously had. We're slowly building up very subtle details, which in the end will give the final form, the final boss. Okay, so we're working with it now. Certain things can be fiddly, and when you start to build complicated surfaces, plasticity can get slower and slower, because it's trying to do a lot more maths in the background. So keeping it as simple as possible for as long as possible can be quite handy, just like with ZBrush or Blender or anything like that, right? So the same kind of like logic applies. You've got a lot of complex surfaces. Every time you're going to make a change, it's going to want to do a lot of maths in the background, which you don't really want. Now, all right, so now let's give this a little bit more shape. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to select these edges and we're going to give them a fillet. But instead of selecting them all one by one, you can actually hold down Alt and Control, and you can select the whole edge ring like that, just like you can in Blender. Okay, and now we're starting to get some shape. We could give this a G2 continuity. Okay, and I want to give this quite a lot of I want to give this quite a lot of shape. Okay, and now if we select this one, you might find that you have a little bit of a problem when trying to fillet it. If not, great, but just try different things. Like, you know, you select the whole loop. That can help. Okay, I want to give this, we can play, I think it looks quite nice with the G2 continuity because we're getting these peaks. All right, and then we've also got tangency here. So let's select this face and just try and offset it a bit. Okay, and then we can go Control R to run the isoparam command, and then hold down Shift and scroll your wheel, and this is what we'll get. Okay, so I'm going to give this a few pieces, and then we can select these all one by one, holding down Shift to add to our selection. Or what you can do is you can go into top mode and selecting with your brown marquee left to right. That will select all of them. It'll also select the bottom one, so you can control and just select that. So the way that marquees work, if you go left to right, sorry, you have to select the whole encompassment for it to select or deselect. And if you're going right to left, you only need to touch the thing that you want to deselect. So it gives you a lot of control. So if you ever practice with using these, right? So if I'm adding to the selection there, if I'm adding to this selection, it's going to select all of those. Okay, so if you practice with those, you're going to get really quick at using Plasticity. It's all keyboard shortcut orientated. Okay, so it is very much designed for using quickly and quickly iterating. So you can get a lot done quickly, but you do need to master the keyboard shortcuts. If you spend your time trying to click and search for things, it's going to be quite tough going. It might be a little bit more, you know, that might be your style, and that's fine. It's just going to take longer. Now we've got these selected. Now we can select these ones one by one. Okay. And what we want to do is we want to pull these up a bit. Okay. Right. And that might be a little bit too much. Okay. And now we're getting quite a lot of lines everywhere. So if we just go to sheet and solid mode and select the whole object, we can go down to our search menu, or we can press F and we can go type in redundant or delete redundant topology. And this is just going to get rid of some of the topology that we don't need anymore. Okay, so most of these look good, but you can see some of them have got these little edges, which means they've got some extra topology. So if I just try and select this face and press X, right, we just want to get rid of some of these extra. Okay, this one might be a problem, so we'll ignore this one for now and we'll deal with that last. Okay. All right, and same with that one. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to select the edge rings of this, like if you remember, Alt and Control. Okay, and then we can try and see what we want to get out of these shapes. So we can have a look around and we can try the different options for the filleting, or you may wish to chamfer. But I think I'm going to go with the conic one. Okay. And then if we Alt, Control and Shift again, we can add to the selection, and one by one we can add to each one. Now, as I said before, this can get a little bit tough with complex surfaces, okay, because it might want to recalculate each time. So you may just wish to calculate each time. Sometimes I find clicking off helps, but what we might want to do is actually just select these and do them all at once, because obviously this top surface is quite got a lot of curvature to it, and you might start to run into some problems. So if we do it all at once, we go back a step, it just might be a little bit easier, but that is an option if you want to do it that way. So you can add to your selection and have them all update as you go. So we've got this here. I think that looks quite nice overall. And now we will just want to deal with this one. This one was a little bit problematic before. I wasn't able to get delete the edge fillets. So, and then hopefully, okay, so let's just, with both of these, we can just select these, adding to our selection by pressing shift, and we can just give these quite a, I think the conic one looks quite nice. So we've got this shape here, and now we can click each one of these. I don't know if you just heard my dog barking at a piercing level, but she just did. And now we can add our fillets to all of these using the same methods of selection. Okay, and it doesn't really like it right now. Okay, so what we might want to do is just try these ones first, making sure that the whole loop is being selected in each case. We'll try these ones first. Okay, and that's fine. Okay, so, and then we can try these outer ones. They might need a little bit more love. All right, see if we can get a G2 on that one. And there we go. If we look at it without any edges on, okay, we can see that we've got quite a nice lot of shape, but we want to add a little bit more to the silhouette here. So finally what we're going to do is we're going to we'll take a line. Actually, we'll take this, we'll subdivide it just twice. All right, we'll drag these up with our move. All right, just give this a little bit more shape, because overall the more shape that you add, the more detailed it's going to look. All right, and we want to make this seat look like it's a cushioned, and that the cushioning is being pushed down over time. So we'll take we'll just toggle these points off, and we'll take a line across here. All right, and we'll G. And we're going to press C to cut, choose our object that we want to cut, and we can get rid of this line now and delete that. So we've cut that, so we've got two solids now, and once again we can choose that. We can select those two edges and we can fillet them. Okay, we can give it a G2. Seems to have worked. And then with this one we can select the whole ring and press P to turn it into a pipe, and we can drag that pipe up, but we actually don't want it to be a difference boolean. We want it to be a additive boolean, so we're going to press Q to make it an additive boolean. We'll make it quite big, as big as we can without it failing. Okay, and that's been added to our, we can now merge our two solids together by selecting both of them, pressing Q twice. Okay, and then I'm going to add a massive fillet to this if I can. It might not let me. There we go, we got the whole ring there. All right, let's say take a couple of steps back, and I actually want to join these together first. All right, now I want to select this, and what we might do is we might Shift D, okay, and press F, rebuild, okay, in terms of points, and then bring this number of points right up until we get a big long one. And let's try and pipe that. That might work a little bit easier. Okay, yep, we can get a lot more shape out of that. Okay, so we've got that. All right, I'm going to select that, and I'm going to join these two together. Okay, and then we're going to fillet this as much as we can, like that. We can maybe try and G2. And then when we look at it, turn our edges off, you can see, maybe if we use this matte cap, you can see it kind of looks like it's being pushed down, and it's kind of manufactured, but it's full of something. It's got some kind of organic curvature to it. It's molded over time. So that's how you can use these new tools in Plasticity to build up quite complicated shapes quite easily, just using the really basic Plasticity tools. So I think this looks great, and it's got a lot of different aspects to it, and it wasn't very difficult to make. It only took, you know, without the talking, it would have been a 10-minute job. I'll see you all in the next one. Tschüss!